Hi everyone, Ryan here with Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Maycee Barber and Miranda Maverick. But before we jump into that, if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so we've got a big fight coming up here between two young prospects in Maycee Barber and Miranda Maverick. Let's start off talking a little bit about Maycee Barber. Now, on the one hand, she's a little bit more of a known commodity in this fight. She's been in the UFC for a little bit longer, had a few more fights. Miranda Maverick's, this is only going to be her third fight in the UFC. Now you look at Maycee Barber, young, only 23 years old, comes from a karate background, and you can really tell that in the way that she fights. Kind of stands up tall, likes to bounce around on her feet, likes to keep it striking, prefers to be at distance, likes to come in and be explosive, be aggressive. That's when she's at her best. You look at her fights against Hannah Cifers, JJ Aldrich, and Jillian Robertson. Her three wins, three big wins coming in the UFC. All of those fights, she was able to keep the fight at the distance she wanted. She was able to keep it standing for the most part. She was able to explode and dictate when she did what she wanted to do. Was able to come forward and be aggressive. Was able to land her shots, move out of the way and move around and circle a little bit when she didn't want to fight. All that being said, don't get me wrong, she's got some real big flaws, right? We saw that, in my opinion, primarily against JJ Aldrich. JJ Aldrich was landing some nasty shots on her, some big counters. Kind of goes back a little bit to that karate style or that karate stance. She kind of Barber likes to stand up tall, likes to stand up straight. Throws her kicks, keeps her chin up. Throws her combinations, keeps her chin up. So she'll blitz in. But if she can't overwhelm you with that strength, with that power, with that aggression, if she can't get you with the hand speed, if you can slip your head off the center line, if you know how to counter, if you've got good timing, she's there to be caught. Now, I mentioned those three fights. And that's because there's a break in her career, in my opinion. Okay, as a fighter this young, you've already got a significant break in her career. So you got her three fights. Hannah Cifers, JJ Aldrich, Jillian Robinson. She's able to come out with the win, continuing to build on her reputation at that point. Then she comes out in her fight against Roxanne Modafferi. And I think the beginning of the fight gets overshadowed a little bit because of the injury that Maycee Barber suffered, right? We know about the injury she suffered, tore up her knee. She was out for a while rehabbing because of that. But prior to that, she was losing that fight. And she wasn't losing it from a grappling standpoint. The grappling had not occurred yet. She was losing the fight to Roxanne Modafferi on the feet. She was getting outstruck. She was chasing her around. Modafferi was turning her a little bit and landing counter shots. That's not a good look when you're supposed to be the striker in the fight. That's not a good look when your goal is to be the youngest ever UFC women's champion. She was losing that fight, eventually, unfortunately, got that injury. So then she comes back and she fights Alexa Grasso. And let me tell you, not good in my opinion. Not good for Maycee Barber, in my opinion. On the one hand, she comes out, and I get it. There's a lot of hype behind her. There's a lot about wondering what's she going to look like after that injury. She's still young. Is she going to be able to bounce back? How's she going to feel? So there was a lot of hype. Before the injury, there's a lot of hype. After the injury, a lot of question marks. She seemed like she came out with nervous energy. She didn't seem like she really felt comfortable when she was out there in the octagon. Like, she was way too far away to be effective, throwing all these jabs that absolutely had no intention of landing, almost like they were rangefinders, but they weren't close enough to be rangefinders. She seemed hesitant. She was trying to use feints, but she wasn't. It was like her timing was off. Her rhythm wasn't there. She just didn't look good in any way, shape, or form in that regard. Also had a lot of the old bad habits. Alexa Grasso was lighting her up on the feet with counter shots, particularly with that left hook. Some beautiful right hand left hook counters. Barber's got a chin. She ate him, but still, man, she was right there, right on the center line, getting caught in between shots, getting caught after she threw shots. All in all, not a good outing. Alexa Grasso, don't get me wrong, she's highly skilled. So she was able to exploit those flaws, but those flaws were also there to be exploited. Standing across from her, we've got Miranda Maverick. Miranda Maverick's only been in the UFC for 2 fights. This is going to be her 3rd fight. Prior to that, she was in Invicta. So she comes over, you look at her background, hardcore wrestling. That's her thing. So much so that she actually wrestled on the men's varsity wrestling team in high school. I don't know if a lot of people recognize just how significant that is, but for a girl to get onto the boys wrestling team, the varsity team in high school, that in and of itself is a pretty impressive feat. That's not easily done. There's a lot of boys that get cut from the boys varsity wrestling team. So that's impressive in and of itself. So after she realizes she's not going to go to college on a wrestling scholarship, she kind of stops that, transfers over, goes to MMA, starts to work her striking. So her background is in the wrestling. Only been like really working her striking now for a few years. Been training at House of Muay Thai since 2018. And you can see that that's the weakest part of her game. You can see that that is the area that she needs the most room for improvement. You know, she comes out there against Jujua in her first fight, and she doesn't look all that great. But here's what I do like. Very early in the first round, maybe a minute and a half in, you can tell that she just all of a sudden made that change and she decided, I'm going forward, I'm going to be aggressive, I'm going to get my shots off. And that's exactly what she does. She just starts pressing the action. You know, there's times when you watch fighters, they'll work off of the jab and then they'll set things up. Or they'll use footwork and they'll set things up. They'll try to throw some feints, draw something out. They're setting traps. They're using movement. They're doing different things. Whatever it may be, they're doing different things in there to set shots up. Other times you see fighters that are just going to be like a bull in a china shop. They're just going to say, you know what? I'm going forward and I'm just enforcing my game on the other person. I'm coming forward. I'm throwing my shots. I'm going to get these things off. Doesn't matter what the other person does. I'm only interested in what I'm doing. And it's funny. That's what I saw Miranda Maverick do in that first fight. About a minute and a half into that first one. And it worked. It worked. First, they were trading a few shots here and there, but she was starting to get hers off. By the end, you know, by a minute left in that first fight, she just landed a nasty lead left hand, then landed an elbow behind it, completely tore up Jojua's face, fighting them to get stopped after the first round. She just came forward and forced her game on the other person. Wasn't always pretty, wasn't always smooth, definitely work that needs to be done, but she did what she had to do to get the win. Didn't even have to show her wrestling in her first outing. And then she comes in this second fight. Right away in her second fight. This is against Jillian Robinson. Second fight in the UFC. She already looked like she was more comfortable on the feet. Everything wasn't great by any means. She still got a massive amount of work to be done, but she seemed to be a little bit more smooth. She was coming forward a little bit better with the 1-2. I like how she steps off the center line when she lands her left hand. She was doing some good things. And eventually she was also able to showcase her wrestling skills in every round. Got a takedown in the first. You show what she did in the second round. She was able to defend. Jillian Robertson had her back for a large portion of that round. And Maverick didn't suffer any kind of damage. Fought her hands, fought the right positions, kept doing what she was supposed to be doing. Eventually got to where she wanted to, no problems at all. Eventually got up and got out of those spots. And then in the third round, we saw more of what we saw in the first round. She ends up coming out with the victory. I think she is on the way up. I really do. I look at Miranda Maverick. I think her game is on the way up. I think her wrestling is strong. I think as the competition level continues to increase, that's going to benefit her. I think being in the UFC is going to benefit her. I think just every day longer that she gets to continue to work her striking, which is the thing that she's been doing the least, that's going to continue to progress as well. Right? She's physically very strong for the division, works well inside the clinch. All great stuff. Now, Maycee Barber, on the other hand, you know, I always thought that she had problems with her striking. Always thought that she takes too many shots. She stands too tall, her head's up, keeps her chin up. All of these problems with her striking, and striking is her thing. But, you know, you figure she's still young. She's got time to grow. She's got time to progress. She can keep her hands up a little bit better. We can work on some head movement. Whatever the case may be, however you decide you want to attempt to improve her game. But that last fight, man, I really did not like it. I really did not like the way she looked so hesitant. I didn't like the way she looked so out of rhythm, unsure of herself, and still got caught with all the shots. Alexa Grasso was nice, patient, composed, and just lit her up on the feet. So the question is, what do I think it's going to look like between Miranda Maverick and Maycee Barber when these two step in the octagon on Saturday night? As if you couldn't tell already from my handicap and from my analysis of it, I'm going with Miranda Maverick on this one. I think she's going to come out there and she's going to continue to improve. I think her hands are going to look a little bit better than they did in her last fight. Now, don't get me wrong, Maycee Barber, I think, will still be the one with the faster hands, faster feet. A little bit more explosive on the feet when she wants to dart in and explode and get there. She'll be able to do that, and she's going to get some shots off because Miranda Maverick is not known for her defense. She's not exactly defensively responsible. She's going to get caught with some shots. But she's tough, she's strong, she's aggressive. Maycee Barber really, truly, when you look at her fights, when she's at her best, which isn't great, but when she's at her best, she needs to come forward. I don't think she's going to be able to do that against Miranda Maverick. Miranda Maverick is not going to let her come forward. She's not going to decide to take a backward step. So I think Miranda Maverick comes forward. I think she presses the action and is aggressive. gets Barber to back up. Maycee will get off some shots here and there, but ultimately, Miranda Maverick will find her rhythm. She'll get that lead left hand off. She'll start to land the 1-2. She'll cut little angles slightly here and there. And yeah, she'll get hit, but she'll start to do good work. And then she'll start to shoot takedowns too. And I think the takedowns is where she's really going to shine, because I think her wrestling is far superior to the wrestling that Maycee Barber brings to the table. So she'll be able to get her to the ground, be able to do a little bit of ground and pound. I think this will be a good outing against the biggest name yet for Miranda Maverick. I see her coming out with the win. So let me know what you guys think. Is Maycee Barber, did she just need that one tune-up fight after that injury, and now she's going to come back and she's going to look better than ever? Or is this going to be 3 wins in a row for Miranda Maverick after coming to the UFC? Let me know.